Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the Robert Sports Show. I'm your host, Robert. Alright, as we continue with the showcase of the independents, next up we have West Coast Pro Wrestling, established in 2018. West Coast Pro Wrestling, obviously by the name of it, is definitely mostly in California, San Francisco area. They have one title. They've won the West Coast Pro Wrestling World Heavyweight title. There's actually been 4 people that ever hold this title. The first champion was Hammerstone. He held it 924 days. AJ Gray held it for 182 days. Jacob Fatu held it for 211 days. And then our current champion, Titus Alexander, has held it for 88 days. During 2022, there was 99 matches for West Coast Pro Wrestling. They did hold several combination events with Prestige Wrestling. So there are going to be some of those combination events that's going to be with the Prestige Best of, and then some of them here with the West Coast Pro Best of. I'm actually going to do 25 here because normally I've been doing 22. They had, or 20. I'm doing 24. Excuse me. Normally I do 22. They had 2 other 3 3/4 star matches that I didn't feel I wanted to leave out. I wanted to go ahead and include those. So out of the 99 matches, 88 men's, 9 women, and 2 intergender, I'm going to go ahead and do the best of 24 best. It's a 3 3/4 star and above. So again, all the 3 3/4 star. So from, I think I got 10 of them here. Now they're all equal to me. They're not one better than the other. I mean, I can someday drill down and say, okay, this one was better than this one. This one was better than this one, kind of deal. I'm just going to put them all out there. This is how they are. Once we get to the 4-star matches, there's 2 4 1/4, and then there's one that stood above all the other ones at 4 3/4. So the start of the 3 3/4 star matches from October 8th at West Coast Pro, Riding the Light, the 4th anniversary show. We had the West Coast Pro World Heavyweight title on the line. We had champion Jacob Fatu going up against Titus Alexander. This is where Titus Alexander won his title, 3 3/4 star. Next up, from Walk Among Us, September 24th, 8-man tag match. The Conglomerate, Alphazo, D-Rogue, Midas Creed, Ceres versus Hunter Freeman, J2 Metallo, Jordan Cruz, and Michael Hopkins. The Conglomerate won. I gave it 3 3/4. From Savage Mode 2 on September 3rd, we had Titus Alexander versus Davey Richards. Titus Alexander getting the victory. Gave it 3 3/4. Throughout the 2022 year, Titus Alexander, in my opinion, grew exponentially from what he was early in the year to what he was at the end of the year. When the year first started, I didn't look at him as a possibility of being a champion. I didn't look at him having this many 3 3/4 and above star matches. You know, we just said the one there against Davey Richards. I mean, he goes up against one of the greatest American Wolf ever, Davey Richards, and beats him in a 3 3/4 star match. Next up, we have from West Coast Cup Day 2, August 19th, going against Nick Wayne. We've heard Nick Wayne's name in GCW. We've heard Nick Wayne's name in Warrior Wrestling and other promotions. You'll hear that name a lot. Titus Alexander, there's him, there's Titus again, beating Nick Wayne 3 3/4. Next up, out from Cruel Summer, July 8th, West Coast Pro World Heavyweight title, champion Jacob Fatu versus Tom Lawler. Fatu got the victory, 3 3/4 star match. This, to me, may be the match that kind of turned my opinion on Titus Alexander. May 13th, at West Coast Pro Wrestling Ill-Mannered, Will Ospreay versus Titus Alexander. Will Ospreay beat him, but this was the match for me that Titus Alexander went from kind of here to here. To, whoa, you gotta watch this guy. Obviously, Will Ospreay was able to pull out of this kid enough that this kid was able to take that and expand upon it. Will Ospreay did beat him for 3 3/4 star, but it was one of his best matches to date at that point. Next up, from the Prestige Wrestling / WrestlePro Savage Mode, March the 11th, we had Frankie Kazarian versus Kevin Blackwood. Frankie Kazarian getting the victory. Kevin Blackwood is one of my favorites on the indies right now. To me, Kevin Blackwood, he fits in with Malachi Black and Brody King. He's that type of striker. I actually think he fits in better with the House of Black and then Murphy does. But that's my opinion. But Frankie Kazarian beating him here, I give it 3 3/4. Next up, from the same show, Prestige / West Coast Pro Savage Mode, West Coast Pro World Title, champion AJ Gray versus Jacob Fatu. Again, two athletic big men going out there and just putting on a clinic. Fatu won the title here. This is when he won the title before he lost it to Titus Alexander. Fatu got the victory, winning the title, 3 3/4 star. Next up, from February 11th, the Art of Drowning. We had a triple threat match. Nick Wayne versus Gringo Loco versus Steven Tarasco. Nick Wayne got the victory. I gave that 3 3/4 star as well. Next on the list, from January 14th, Situation Critical, Men's Fatal 4-Way, TJP versus Kenny King versus Alpha Zoe versus Titus Alexander. Titus Alexander got the victory. I gave it 3 3/4. Now, when I gave this match 3 3/4, it was a lot because of Kenny King and TJP. To me, they carried the match there. I looked at Titus Alexander here and was like, okay, there could be something there, but again, that Will Ospreay match in May really sold me on what Titus Alexander is capable of. Next up, we have from Situation Critical, Homicide versus Jacob Fatu. Homicide losing to Jacob Fatu here. I believe this was the #1 contender match, if I remember correctly. Fatu getting the victory, 3 3/4 star. Next up, we have from Situation Critical, which if you haven't seen that show from January, apparently 3 3/4 star matches. That's a show you might want to check out because it was pretty good. Davey Richards versus Kevin Blackwood. Talk about strikers. Whew, what a match. Davey Richards getting the victory. I gave it 3 3/4. I was on the verge of 4, but it just didn't get the length that I was hoping for to really go for that 4-star rating. But 3 3/4, Davey getting the victory. Next up on our list, we have from November 19th, West Coast Pro teaming up with PWR, King of Indies, Dragon Lee versus Dralistico versus SB Kento. Triple threat lucha match here. Dragon Lee get the victory. I gave it 4-star because it was pretty darn good. Next up, from West Coast Pro, the West Coast Cup Day 2 8-man tag. We just had 8 guys going out there and just putting on a show here. Commander, Alpha Zoe, D-Rogue, minus Creed, taking on Aerostar, Brian Keith, Alan Angels, and Gravity. The team of Commander, Alpha Zoe, D-Rogue, minus Creed getting the victory. I gave it 4-star. This was a match that had Commander, Alpha Zoe, and D-Rogue, kind of the high flyers, speed guys, minus Creed, more little power. Aerostar, Alan Angels, and Gravity, more the high flyers. Brian Keith, more the power. You know, that kind of styles make fights kind of match. Next up, we had exactly that. From August 18th, West Coast Pro Cup, the West Coast Cup Day 1, West Coast Pro World Heavyweight Title on the line, champion Jacob Fatu versus Speedball Mike Bailey. We had everything in this match. We had the power of Fatu, the agility of Fatu, the striking ability of Speedball Mike Bailey. Jacob Fatu retaining his title, 4-star match. you're going to hear a lot of Fatu and Mike Bailey coming up. We had at July 8th, Cruel Summer, Mike Bailey, Speedball Mike Bailey versus Starboy Charlie. Mike Bailey getting the victory. Starboy Charlie, I've been watching him in Game Changer Wrestling, and it's not that I dislike him, I just never thought a lot about him until matches like this. It's like, whoa. It makes you take a second look at somebody like how good they are when they can go out there and hang with Mike Bailey. Bailey got the victory in a 4-star match. Next up, June 10th, 93 till infinity. Nick Wayne versus Trey Miguel. And this is when Trey Miguel was Impact Wrestling X Division champion. Nick Wayne beat him in West Coast Pro in a 4-star match. One of my favorite matches, I only gave it 4, but this next one's one of my favorites. West Coast Pro, game related, April 15th, West Coast Pro World Heavyweight Title line. Champion Jacob Fatu versus Bandito. Bandito is by far one of my favorite Lucha Libre wrestlers right now. Him and Fatu went at it. 4-star match. Fatu got the victory. Next up, from Prestige in crossover with West Coast Pro, Savage Mode, March 11th. Speedball Mike Bailey and Nick Wayne. Speedball got the victory there. Again, 4-star match. February 11th, The Art of Drowning, Kevin Blackwood versus Davey Richards. Literally, Davey was fighting himself here. 4-star match. I may have to rewatch it. I may end up changing that to 4.25 because it was good. It was one of my favorite matches to go back and watch. Also from The Art of Drowning, Mike Bailey versus ACH. Mike Bailey getting the victory, 4-star match. Now, like I said, that Tidex Alexander match in May with Will Ospreay really got me watching him. The third best match in West Coast Pro of 2022. The West Coast Cup, Day 2, August 19th. Titus Alexander versus Starboy Charlie. Like I just said about the one there when Starboy wrestled Mike Bailey in July, this one was in August. Again, it's like, okay, now I'm looking at Titus because of what he did against Will Ospreay. I'm looking at Starboy Charlie, what he did against Mike Bailey. Those two went out there, and this is a banger of a match. Titus Alexander got the victory. I gave it 4.25. Number 2, from January 14th, Situation Critical, triple threat match. Ray Horace versus Mike Bailey versus Aramis. Triple threat match of 3 spectacular athletes. Mike Bailey got the victory. I gave it 4.25. And then the best match from 2022 West Coast Pro Wrestling. We had 93 till infinity, June 10th. Takeshita, Kensoku Takeshita versus Mike Bailey. Takeshita getting the victory. I gave it 4.75 star match. One of the best matches. We all know what Takeshita's done in DDT Wrestling, in AEW in 2022, in West Coast Pro in 22, in insert company he worked for in 22. He went out there and put a banger after banger after banger of match up. Those are the best matches from West Coast Pro in 2022. So as we continue on the showcase of the independents, like I said, I'm gonna do top matches of 31 independent wrestling companies in 2022. The 3 that aren't considered in my mind right now indie companies, obviously WWE, New Japan Pro Wrestling, and AEW Impact Wrestling. I was going to put as kind of his own entity, but to me, it's really not the third company in wrestling right now. I think GCW's outdone it as kind of the third company in America. So I'm going to leave it with the big 3, New Japan, AEW, and then everyone else. So each day we're going to profile a different independent company. Today was West Coast Pro. As always, thanks for watching the Robert Sports Show, and don't just have a great day. Have a spiffy day. Robert Sports Show, your YouTube leader in sports channel content. And remember, if you want to check out West Coast Pro independent wrestling television has about 200 different indie companies, Prestige Wrestling, and West Coast Pro is on there as well. Have a great night.